Welcome to second part of lecture number 11. As we were discussing the different types of the forces which are acting on the dam structure. So in first part of this lecture we have discussed the weight of the dam, water pressure and the uplift pressure. Now we will discuss the remaining types of the forces or pressures which are acting on the dam structures. Okay, so the next one is the wave pressure. So the upper part of the dam above the water level is subjected to impact of waves. If the dam is constructed in such an area where we have the wind blowing over the reservoir, okay, so then the waves will be generated on the surface of the reservoir, and that waves will move toward the structure and will act some pressure on the dam body. Okay, see, for example, if these are the foundation, suppose here we have constructed a dam structure. Okay, so a reservoir will be formed at the upstream upstream side. Now the waves will be generated on the reservoir surface because of the wind blowing over it, and the wave pressure will depend on the height of the wave. See, these waves will be generated and it will be moving towards the structure and will act some pressure on it, and the intensity, the impact, the wave pressure will depend on the height of that developed wave, and that is the distance between the top and the crest of the wave. That is called what? That is called the height of the wave. Okay, now wave height may be calculated that, for example, in a specific dam, in a specific reservoir, how much height wave will be generated. Okay, so the wave height may be calculated from these equation. See, if we have the velocity of the wave which is moving, suppose that is v. Okay, for example, that is in remember that is in kilometer per hour. Okay, and see, f is the straight length of the water expansion. Okay, beyond this structure, beyond this obstruction, the length of the reservoir, the straight length of the reservoir, that is f. Okay, in term of kilometer. Okay, see, the intensity of the wave, the velocity of the wave, that will be depend on the straight length of the reservoir behind the obstruction. If the length of the reservoir, if the expansion of the reservoir is more, then the wave will be generated from far up distance and it will move with high velocity and its impact will be more. And for example, if we have less length behind the reservoir, then the wave will be generated near to the structure and its impact will be not too much as compared to the previous one. Okay, so f is the straight length of the reservoir behind the dam structure, v is the velocity of the wave in kilometer per hour. Now when f is less than 32 kilometer, okay, then this equation will be used for the calculation of the wave height. And if the straight length of the river or straight length of the reservoir at the upstream side is greater than 32 kilometer, so then almost this term will be 0. Okay, and the remaining term will be 0.03 under root vf. That will be then the wave height. Okay, now here you can see that the waves will be moving in this way toward the structure. Okay, and see, the average pressure, that is actually the pressure which is exerted by the wave, that is Pw, pressure of the wave is equal to 2.4 unit weight of the water multiplied by Hw, that is height of the wave. Okay, so this much pressure will be generated, this will be the pressure intensity due to the wave which will act on the dam structure. 2.4 unit weight of the water multiplied by height of the wave. Okay, now see, the question is where it will act. Okay, the point of action. See, again, that is the reservoir. Okay, so see, for example, if that is the still surface of water. Okay, see, let me clear it. For example, that is the foundation. Here we have constructed the barrier, the dam structure. For example, that is the top surface of the water. In suppose if there is no wave, then the surface of the reservoir will be called, it will be in still condition. It will be in still condition. That is called the still water surface. Okay. Now, for example, due to the blowing wind, suppose if wave is generated, so it will be moving like in this direction towards the structure. And as we have discussed that the intensity, the pressure of this wave will depend on the height of the wave, and that will be equal to 2.4 unit weight of water multiplied by height of the wave. Okay. Now see where it will act. So generally its direction will be parallel to the water pressure. Okay, that is the direction of the wave pressure. Its direction will be parallel to the direction of the water pressure. You see, that is one of the main reference posts to which we are comparing the direction of the other forces. So the direction of the wave pressure will be parallel to the water pressure and will be perpendicular to the upstream face of the reservoir. Now the question is where it will act, the point of action. Okay, so it will act at, there are three concepts, that the wave pressure will act at half of the this distance, half of the wave height from the still water surface. See, if that is the still water surface, so from the still water surface at a distance of hw by 2, that will be the point of action of the wave pressure. Okay, and also sometimes the pressure is calculated like this one, to a unit weight of water multiplied by h square. Okay, so h height of the wave square. So it will act at a distance of 3 by 8 hw from the still water surface. Okay, so that is the pressure which is exerted by the in the structure due to the wave generated in the surface of water. Its magnitude will be this one, and its intensity will be depend on the velocity of the wave, the height of the wave. Okay, and the we can say that the reservoir length behind the reservoir, and it will act mostly at a distance of hw by 2 from the still water surface. Okay, here you can see that is 1 by 4. Okay, that is the general equation, and it acts at hw by 2 above the still water surface. Now the next one and most important pressure which will be considered during the design of the dam structure, that is the earthquake pressure. Okay, the effect of the pressure, we can say that the effect of the earthquake forces which is subjected on the structure, that will be considered. That is most important. Okay, so see, dams are subjected to vibration during earthquakes. Vibration affect both the body of the dam and the water reservoir. Remember, in earthquake forces actually we have three types of the bodies. See, one is, suppose there is the foundation. Okay, here suppose we have the dam structure, that is the main body of the dam, and at the upstream side here we will have the water reservoir. So we have three bodies. One is the main body of the dam, one we have the reservoir, third one we have the foundation. Okay, so see, when the earthquake occurs, so actually the foundation will move in any direction, and due to that vibration of the foundation, it will affect the dam body and it will affect the water reservoir. Okay, so the vibration forces are the function of the intensity and the duration of the earthquake. Now then it will depend on the region where you are constructing the dam structure. Okay, so see, that will be depend on the seismic location of the area, the seismic region. Okay, that up to how much intensity the earthquake can occur, what will be its duration, and how much vibration forces will be produced which will affect the dam body and the reservoir. Okay, and the most dangerous effect occurs when the vibration is perpendicular to the face of the dam. Perpendicular that is the face of the dam, the upstream face. When the vibration, when the moment, if that is perpendicular to the face of the dam, then that is most dangerous, because sliding of the dam structure may be occur, collapsing of the dam structure may be occur. Okay, so remember the earthquake forces will be considered when the dam is to be constructed in the seismic region, and we have different types of the earthquake waves like primary waves, secondary waves, relief waves, low waves. Okay, that are the different types of the waves which are generated on the earth crust, and the waves will produce acceleration to the foundation under the dam. Okay, and it will cause its movement. We can say that acceleration will be produced in the foundation, okay, under the dam structure. And in order to avoid any failure, the dam must also move along with it. To avoid any rupture, we have to design such type of structure that it will move along with the foundation. For example, at the moment is producing the foundation, then the dam will also move with it to avoid any types of the rupture conditions. Okay. So see, this acceleration is introduced in inertia force in the body of the dam, and it set up stresses initially, okay, in the lower layer of the dam, and gradually then it moves in the whole body. An earthquake wave may travel in any direction, remember. Okay, see, earthquake waves produce acceleration in the foundation under the dam, and that will move, that will travel in any direction, in this direction, in this direction, in any direction. But for design purposes, we are only considering the horizontal waves, the horizontal acceleration which is produced in the foundation, and the vertical acceleration which is produced in the acceleration in the foundation. Okay, so two types of the moment will be considered. Two types of the waves will be considered during the design. Okay, so see, the first one is the horizontal acceleration, the horizontal earthquake acceleration. Okay, see, for example, if the earthquake occur horizontally, so it will produce the horizontal acceleration in foundation in both direction, either to the right or to the left. It will depend on the direction of the earthquake. Okay, so generally if the horizontal acceleration is produced in the foundation, so it will try, the foundation will try to move the dam structure and reservoir with itself. But dam and reservoir are external bodies, they will resist that movement and they will try to keep themselves in rest. Okay, so inertial forces will be generated in the dam body and the water body. Okay, so see, the inertial forces which are generated in the body of the dam and the inertial forces which are generated in the water reservoir due to the horizontal acceleration, see, that will be, the inertial forces which are generated in the dam body, that will be equal to its horizontal force will be equal to weight of the structure multiplied by horizontal seismic coefficient. Okay, that is the inertia force, which is the product of the weight of the structure and the horizontal seismic coefficient, and that will be occur, that will be produced in the structure in response of the horizontal acceleration in the foundation. Okay, see here, W is the weight of the structure, alpha H is the horizontal seismic coefficient. Okay, and also the vertical force which is generated due to the horizontal inertia in the that is Fv, the vertical force which is generated due to the horizontal acceleration in the foundation will be equal to weight of the structure multiplied by vertical seismic coefficient. Okay, and see, alpha H is equal to beta I and alpha naught, where beta is the foundation coefficient. Okay, that is, sorry, beta is the soil foundation system factor, and sometime for dam design its value is taken as 1. Okay, I is the importance factor, and the value of which is taken is 2 for the dams. Okay, and alpha naught, that is the basic seismic coefficient. Okay, and its value will be taken out from the seismic maps. For the whole earth we have the seismic maps are available, so the alpha naught will be taken for the specific site where you are constructing the dam structure. Its value will be taken out from the seismic map. So if we put this constant, then the horizontal seismic coefficient will be equal to 2 times of the basic seismic coefficient. Okay, and see mostly the limit of the basic seismic coefficient is from 0.02 to 0.08. so we can say that the limit of the horizontal seismic coefficient will be 0.04 to 0.16. okay, so that is the horizontal seismic coefficient. When it is multiplied with the weight of the structure, so it will be equal to the horizontal force due to inertia of the dam. okay, and the vertical force is equal to weight of the structure multiplied by vertical seismic coefficient. And remember, vertical seismic coefficient is equal to half of the horizontal seismic coefficient. That is half of the horizontal seismic coefficient. okay, and see when the horizontal acceleration is produced in the foundation, okay, when the horizontal acceleration is produced in the foundation, so the inertia force in the body of the dam will be equal to this one, horizontal and vertical. And similarly, when the horizontal acceleration is produced in the foundation, so the inertia force of water, which is also called the hydrodynamic force, remember, which is also called the hydrodynamic force, that will be also generated. Now remember, that will be either in this direction, either it will be in this direction. So if the inertia force is in this direction, it will be not considered because it is in opposite direction in the dam structure. Mean it is not affecting this structure, it is not contributing to the failure of this structure. But when the inertia force of the water, when the hydrodynamic force of the water is in this direction, see, when it is parallel to the direction of the hydrostatic water, it must be considered, and that is most important because then it is contributing to the failure of the structure. And remember, at the top of the surface of the reservoir, the inertia force, the hydrodynamic force will be minimum, that will be 0. okay, and as you are moving towards the bottom of the river, the effect of the inertial force will be increased. okay, and see, its distribution is like this one, that is the parabolic distribution, that is most important. And its direction is, again, it is parallel to the hydrostatic water pressure. At the surface of the water, the hydrodynamic forces will be minimum, that will be 0. At the bed of the river, the hydrodynamic forces will be maximum. okay, and its variation, that is parabolic. okay, and see, its magnitude is equal to, the magnitude of the hydrodynamic forces according to, different types of methods are available for its determination. So one is the von Karman's approach. okay, von Karman's method, that is say that 0.555 alpha h, which is the horizontal seismic coefficient, unit weight of water, and h square. okay, that is the height of the water in the reservoir. Gamma is the unit weight of the water, alpha h is the horizontal seismic coefficient, which we have discussed, and 0.555. that will be the magnitude of the hydrodynamic water pressure. okay, and see, most importantly, its point of action, it will act at a distance of 4h by 3 pi, where h is, again, that is the height of the water in the reservoir. okay, so the hydrodynamic pressure will act at this much distance from the bed of the reservoir, from the bottom of the reservoir. That will be its point of action. Its direction will be parallel to the hydrostatic pressure, perpendicular to the upstream face of the dam. okay, and its distribution will be parabolic from the surface to the bottom of the reservoir. okay, and also that hydrodynamic pressure can be calculated by this equation, 2 by 3. okay, Ce, which is a constant, alpha h, again the horizontal seismic coefficient, and h square, which is the height of the water in the reservoir. okay, and see, this coefficient Ce, that is taken as 0.82. okay, that will be taken as a 0.82. so sometimes this equation is also used for the determination of the hydrodynamic pressure. okay, so these will be the inertial forces in the dam body and the water reservoir in response of the horizontal acceleration produced in the foundation. Clear? Now Secondly, when the vertical acceleration, the effect of the vertical earthquake acceleration. See again, if that is the foundation, this one is the dam structure. Here for example a reservoir is formed. Okay, now see, if the vertical acceleration is produced in the foundation, okay, so due to vertical earthquake acceleration, the dam as well as the reservoir water will accelerated vertically upward or downwards, mean in the direction of the vertical movement, in the direction of the foundation. When the vertical acceleration is produced in the foundation, then the dam and the water body will also accelerate it vertically upward and downward. And what will happen? Okay, and this will be again resisted by the inertia, and the effect of that vertical earthquake acceleration will change the unit weight of the water and the unit weight of the material. Mean due to that vertical acceleration produced in the dam body and the reservoir water, that will affect the unit weight of the material and the unit weight of the water. And remember, when the acceleration is upward, then the unit weights of the material will be increased by this amount. Okay, and the unit weight of the water will be increased by this much amount. Okay, when the vertical acceleration is produced in the foundation, for example if it is in the upward direction, so there will be also vertical acceleration produced in the reservoir water and the dam structure, which will increase the weight of the water and the weight of the material of the dam structure by this much amount. Okay, where alpha v is again, that is the vertical seismic coefficient, and it is equal to, it is half of the horizontal seismic coefficient. Okay, and now see, when the acceleration is downward, okay, so the downward acceleration will decrease the weight of the structure, and it will decrease the the weight of the material of the structure and the weight of the water by this much amount. Mean unit weight of the material 1 minus vertical seismic coefficient, and unit weight of the water will be 1 minus unit weight vertical seismic coefficient. Okay, so then that will be its impact. Now, but remember, when you are considering the inertia forces due to horizontal acceleration, the effect of vertical acceleration on the unit weight will not be considered, because at a time not both accelerations are produced, mean horizontal acceleration and vertical acceleration. Mean at a time only one acceleration will be occurred, and the effect of the horizontal acceleration is more as compared to the vertical acceleration. So therefore, the in the design only the impact, the horizontal acceleration forces will be the inertia which is generated due to the horizontal forces, due to the horizontal moment of the earthquake, that will be considered. Okay, clear? Now next one force, which is next one pressure which is acting on the dam structure due to the cells. So remember, when there is some salts particle, when there is some sediments particle, when the river brings some salt and debris along with it, so it will be deposited, because when we have the obstruction, so the water will be stored in the reservoir, its velocity will be reduced, and if there is some sediments particle, it will be settled down. Okay, so the salt deposited on the upstream of dam will cause some salt pressure in addition to the water pressure on the dam surface. Okay, mean if the sediment is deposited here, so it will exert some pressure on the dam structure parallel to the hydrostatic water pressure, and it will contribute to the failure of the dam. Okay, now see, for example, if this much depth of sediment is deposited, that is HS, so it will exert this much pressure, where that is gamma saturated, which is the saturated, submerged unit weight of the salt particle. This is, remember, this is HS, mean the height of the salts deposited, the depth up to which the salts is deposited. Okay, and Ka, that is the coefficient of active earth pressure, and that is equal to 1 minus sine pi, okay, divided by 1 plus sine pi. Again, see, when the sediments is deposited here, so there will be some friction between the particles, okay, so the angle of internal friction, that is pi. So from this you will get the coefficient of the active earth pressure multiplied by square of the depth of the cells which is deposited multiplied by the submerged unit weight of the cells. So you will get the pressure which will be exerted on the dam structure, okay. And remember, the point of action will be HS by 3, mean 1/3 of the depth of the sediment which is deposited from the base. Remember, from the base, HS by 3, that will be the point of action. Direction will be parallel to the hydrostatic water pressure. The magnitude will be equal to this one, and it will be the pressure which will be exerted by the deposited sediments in the reservoir, okay. And see, again we have another concept here. Suppose if some portion of the upstream face is partly vertical and partly inclined, like this one. Suppose that is the foundation, the upstream portion is partly inclined and partly vertical, and suppose up to this much depth the sediments is deposited, okay. Suppose that is HS, so it will exert both horizontal pressure and it will have some vertical component of that self pressure, okay. So in this case also we have another general empirical equation that the horizontal pressure, the horizontal component of the cell pressure is equal to 180 height of the cell deposited square, okay, mean in term of kilogram, that this much weight, this much pressure, this much force will be exerted horizontally on the structure, okay. And the vertical component will be equal to 460 HS square, okay, in term of kilogram, mean the vertical components vertical component of the cells on that inclined portion, mean horizontal and vertical cell pressure will be 180 HS square and 460 height of the cell square in term of kilogram, okay, and height of the cell deposited, that will be taken. And the point of action will be 1/3 of the depth of the cells from the base of the reservoir, okay. So that is the cell pressure. The next one, the ice pressure, again it will be taken into account when the dam is to be constructed in a very cool area. If it is constructed in a very high elevation, then the ice formed on the water surface of the reservoir is subjected to expansion and contraction, okay, mean the ice will form on the surface of the reservoir and it will be subjected to expansion and contraction due to the temperature variation, and the coefficient of thermal expansion of ice is 5 times more than the concrete, okay. So the dam face will be resist the force due to the expansion, mean there will be some pressure on the dam structure, okay, mean the dam structure will try to resist that pressure which is produced due to the expansion and contraction of the ice, okay. So then it will be considered, but remember it will be considered in cold countries and very high elevation, and that is approximately taken as 5 kilogram per square centimeter, okay. Similarly, we have the temperature stresses, and temperature creates very small forces in the dam body, and they are usually ignored. See, when there is very rapid and high variation in the temperature of the locality, then the materials will be affected, okay. Its anhydration of cement will be affected, okay. Also we have the wind pressure, that is again very small and is usually ignored in design, but if in the specific location, if we have if the wind is blowing at a very high speed, then it will be taken into account, and normally that is taken as 100 to 150 kilogram per square inch, okay, in the area which is exposed to the heavy winds, okay. So these are different types of the forces which are these are the main type of the forces which are acting on the dam structure, okay. Here we will have a short numerical about the forces acting on the dam structure. See, for example, if that is the foundation, okay, this is the base width which is 24 meter. The upstream face is completely vertical. that is the crest width, which is 6 meter. Okay, and the downstream side we have 10 meter vertical, and then we have height up to 30 meter, that is up inclined edge. It will have some specific slope. Okay, and you can see here we have no tailwater, and the depth of the water in the reservoir, that is 33 meter. So these are the dimensions, these are the specifications. And also you can see that the unit weight of the material from which the dam is constructed, that is 2.5 ton per cubic meter, and the unit weight of the water is 1 ton per cubic meter. Okay, and the height of the wave which will be generated on the surface of the reservoir, that is 1.5 meter. Okay, now we have to calculate the forces which are acting on the dam. So the first one is the weight of the dam, which is the major force which is resisting the destabilizing forces. Okay, I mean this is one of the stabilizer force. So see, the upstream face is completely vertical, and downstream we have some inclined, the downstream face is inclined, so we can divide the dam portion into two sections. Okay, see, one will be this rectangular shape, the second one will be the triangular shape. And see, assume the unit length, remember the unit length, okay, mean 1 meter length or 1 feet length. For example, here we have the SI system, so assume 1 meter length. Okay, so now what will be the volume of this 1 meter length? That will be 1 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 40, which is 40 is the total height of the dam. Okay, so see, here you can multiply 1 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 40. See, the general equation for the weight of the dam was equal to unit weight of the material multiplied by volume. So for this section, the volume is 1 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 40 and multiplied by unit weight of the material. So you will get 600 ton per meter. It's mean that the weight of the 1 meter length of this portion is 600 ton. Okay, similarly for this triangular portion, here you can see that the total width was 24 meter, so this 6 meter is accounted in this portion, so it will be now 18 meter, and up to here you can see that the height is 30 meter. Okay, so if we assume the 1 unit length of the structure, so what will be the volume of this portion? It will be the area multiplied by 1, which is the unit length. So the area of this is what? 1 by 2, 18 multiplied by 30. In triangular area is 1 over 2 base multiplied by height. Okay, and multiplied by 1, so it will be what? It will be V2, mean it will be volume of this section. Now see, 1 by 2 multiplied by 18 multiplied by 30 multiplied by 1, that is the volume, multiplied by unit weight of the material. So the weight of the unit length of this section is 675 ton per meter. Now the total weight of 1 meter length is 1275 ton. It's mean that suppose if that is the width of the river, and here suppose we have constructed the dam structure, so the weight of this 1 meter portion is 1275 meter, and if we know the total length of the structure, so just multiply it with total length and you will get the total weight of the structure which will be acted downward. Okay, and see the water pressure. So as we know that generally the water pressure is equal to 1 over 2 unit weight of water multiplied by square of the depth of the water. Okay, mean the depth of the reservoir. Okay, so that is equal to 544.5 ton again per meter, mean that is the pressure, that is the water pressure which is acting on the unit length of the structure. And again, if you know the total length, so just multiply it with the total length, so you will get the total water pressure which is acting on the upstream face of the dam structure. And see, we know that it will act at how much distance? At h by 3. So height of the water is 33 meter, so it will act at 11 meter from the bottom, mean the point of action of this water pressure will be 11 meter from the bottom. Okay, Second one is the uplift pressure. So as we know that uplift pressure is equal to 1/2 unit weight of water multiplied by height of the water in the reservoir and multiplied by the base weight. Okay, so the base weight is 24, height of water in the reservoir is 33 meter, unit weight of water is 1, that is 1/2, so you will get again that is 396 ton per meter. Okay, mean the uplift pressure exerted on unit length, that is 396 meter, and you can see that there was no tail water, so the pressure distribution diagram will be like this one, and the point of action will be, that will be B/3, so B is 24, so it will be at 8 meter from the heel point. Okay, that is heel point, so from this point at 8 meter distance, that will be the point of action of the uplift pressure. Okay, also the wave pressure, we know that the formula was 2.4 unit weight of water multiplied by height of wave. So height of wave is given. If that is not given, then remember F will be given, which is the straight length of the reservoir at the upstream side, and velocity of the wave will be given, from which we can calculate HW. Okay, so HW multiplied by unit weight of water multiplied by 2.4, that will be 3.6 ton per square meter. Mean on the upstream pace of the reservoir, this much we can say that. Also we can say that on the unit length. Okay, here the square can be removed. Here you can see that on the unit length face of the structure, 3.6 ton of pressure will be exerted by the wave. Okay, similarly the earthquake forces, so horizontal inertia will be generated in the dam and the water body. Okay, so here we have two portion, we have two weights, here we have two section. So the inertia generated in this section, as we know that the inertia generated in this section, that is equal to weight of this section multiplied by horizontal seismic coefficient. So the horizontal seismic coefficient is given as 0.1, and the weight of this section is 600 ton. So on unit length of the dam, 600 ton will be the inertial force acted on the structure due to the earthquake. And on this portion, see, its weight is 675 ton, the horizontal seismic coefficient is 0.1, so it will be 67.5 ton per meter. It's mean that on 1 unit length of the structure, 127 ton of inertial force will be there due to the horizontal earthquake acceleration. Okay, and the hydrodynamic pressure in the water due to the horizontal acceleration of the earthquake, we know that that is equal to, okay, mean the hydrodynamic pressure, remember that is 2/3, okay, CE, which is equal to 0.82, that is the unit, that is the horizontal seismic coefficient, and the h square, mean the height of the water in the reservoir, horizontal seismic coefficient, and Kahn's coefficient 0 is equal to 0.82. so from here you can get 59.55 ton per meter. Again, on unit length, this much hydrodynamic pressure will be exerted on the structure, and again its direction will be pressure parallel to the water pressure, and its distribution will be parabolic. Okay, mean it will be minimum at top and will be maximum at bottom, and its distribution is parabolic. Okay, so now you can compare the different types of the forces in the weight of pressure, if you know the total length of the structure, the water pressure, uplift pressure, wave pressure, and the earthquake pressure. Okay, so this was all about the lecture number 11, in which we have discussed mainly the different types of the forces, mean weight of the structure, water pressure, uplift pressure, okay, wave pressure, silt pressure, earthquake pressure, ice pressure, wind pressure, and temperature pressure are subject to the location. Okay, so these are the different types of the forces which are acting on the dam structure. Thank you.